There he is.
Who?
You. I was waiting on you because sometimes you all hit pause for a minute there.
I was like a second behind you.
I know, but usually you're like waiting. You're just like waiting, like you're trying to make like a dramatic entrance or something. Oh man,
you like your spot. That's all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do like to get over by my logo because it messes with my OCD if we're like, Well, hello everyone. See, now there you go. There you go, messing with things. Hello everyone, how are you guys? We are here for episode 186, right? Yeah. So we're coming up on 200. Did we ever figure out when 200 is going to be? We haven't figured out.
But I forget already. It was like September maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, if
anybody's
really good at math and wants to figure it out, you can let us know in the comments. But we'll have 200 episodes coming up pretty soon. And not only is it 200 episodes, but it's 200 concurrent episodes, which is a title that we're quite proud of because we haven't
consecutive.
Missed. Well, yeah, concurrent.
Concurrent would be the same time. That would be.
Time, yeah. You know what I'm saying. I'm still dehydrated and tired from the last couple of days.
Little sun parched.
My I don't know if y'all can tell, but I got a little extra sun. I'm a little oranger than normal today. But yeah, got a little dehydrated. Stayed busy. The event wasn't as wild as far as like the booth didn't get wrapped up quite as bad. It was a steady flow. So it wasn't like we had like big lines the whole time. We had a line a few times, but for the most part, it just stayed steady. And it was a fun event. Got to meet lots of folks. And if you're one of the ones that stopped by the booth and said hello, I appreciate you doing that. It does mean a lot to us. Sometimes we can't stop and talk the way that we, would because we're busy trying to make a little bit of money to offset the cost and expenses. I did have to pay the vendor fee. I also was a sponsor of the event and did a sponsorship for the first responder guy that cooks the food for the first responders and make sure that they got food. And that includes the police, fire, EMS, EMA, dispatchers, like even the grounds crews, like the city workers that pick the trash up and take it. There's more or less like the support staff is like they have a guy that comes out and he prepares the food for them and just make sure they have that. And then of course a lot of the local businesses will donate the food, the buns, the bread, stuff like that. So it was a good event. It's a good community event where everybody comes together. There was a few things that I had changed about my setup that I was happy with. The F2, this was the first time I've used the F2 instead of the F1. It was fast. Like people kept commenting. They're like, do I need to come back? And I'm like, no, it won't take but just a little bit. And so I type it in there and hit the button and it, and they're like, oh, that is fast. That is really fast. And so that was an improvement. One thing that I didn't do in all the preparation that I tried to do and all the bases that I tried to cover, the one thing that I forgot is that every jig file that I had was set up for the F1. So none of my material settings were right on my files. So I kind of had to adjust that as I went. So like the first one I did, I ran a pet tag. It's anodized aluminum pet tag. But when I ran it, I didn't realize that it had the F1 settings instead of the F2. And so, hot. Yeah, it was a little hot, a little rough. So I just like trashed that one. I did another little test burn, made sure I had the right settings that time around, trashed that one and redid it. And it was fine. But then I knew. And so every time I went to do a different thing, I went ahead and adjusted for the different machine. But another thing, one thing that I did find out that I wasn't real like excited about is if you're going to do events and you don't know if you're going to have internet service or not, make sure to have a copy of XCS saved on your computer as well as Xtool Studio. Because I got there and my hotspot wasn't working on my phone. And Xtool Studio, like all of my settings and a lot of the functions of Xtool Studio does not work without internet. So I did find that XCS or Xtool Creative Space does work without internet for the most part. There's some features that you can't use. But I wound up, luckily was able to plug my phone to the computer, get internet, and that fixed the problem. But if you ever are going to a place to where you're not going to have internet, you might want to make sure like a workaround for that. I don't know if that's something, maybe there's a setting like that makes it available offline that I'm missing, but I did have a little bit of a hiccup with that in the very beginning. Because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's his new phone or what, my other iPhone could see the hotspot. Klein's phone could see the hotspot, but my laptop could not see it. And I tried changing like the compatibility settings in the phone, and there wasn't a way to make it work. But it's an older laptop, so maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, might be time to. Well, you don't do that many events, but
no, and that's why. And for what I do out there, that machine works great, and it stays in the trailer. I mean, like the battery, like you unplug it, it literally kills it. So it has to be running. It has to be running all the time, as far as like plugged in. So, and I do have another laptop. I got my Alienware laptop that I use when I travel and stuff, but I prefer to use that old one. Like I said, just in case something happens to it. It's like, I won't cry too bad if that one gets destroyed.
Well, maybe I need to see what we've got for surplus laptops. We sell them through our help desk and such. Maybe we can do an interim upgrade for you.
Yeah. Now, if you got some cheap ones, let me know what you got. I might pick it up next week next week.
I'll take a gander tomorrow.
Yeah, because I could definitely use an upgrade on that one because it's an older. For some reason I thought it was a Dell, but it's actually an HP, some kind of. It's one of the higher performance laptops because it's one I used when I did computer forensics. So it's got a video card and stuff like that. But now it's like a 08 model. So I mean they're 2010 model. You know what I mean? It's like an older one, but it's still running Windows 10. So I wouldn't really use it for much, but
you barely want to connect it to the internet because of that.
Yeah, but I had to, and then I wasn't going to, except I do occasionally. Like I had a few people show up. Like there was a couple small businesses that wanted some koozies and stuff, and they wanted me to try to put their logo on them. And so I had to, I had to be connected to the internet in order for them to be able to drop those to me and so forth. So there were some need for internet, and it was just something I had never thought about because XCS. It had a lot more functionality without internet than what Xtool Studio does. But I still had XCS on the computer, so I mean, push come to shove, I could have used that, I guess.
That kind of reminds me of the CNC machine that I had before the Onefinity was a Open Builds Ox variant that I cut so many of those model airplane stands on, but it was running on Mach 3 and had a Windows XP machine. I didn't never put it on my network or anything. Everything was transferred via USB drive to that thing. But it was just rock solid. It would turn on, it would run fine, it would run the software in the machine just fine. And that also had an older controller that ran through like printer and parallel ports. So kind of, to upgrade it would be like a brand new controller for that CNC machine. So yeah, I just kept it off the network and had some spare power supplies and other things for that computer.
Yeah, like I said, it still works. It did a good job, and I did get lucky with that one. And I think I'm still technically getting security updates in Windows 10 until October because I got some of my computers got extended and some of them didn't. I think that was one of the ones that got extended. But yeah, it went well. Like I said, now I was actually pleasantly surprised too on the Ikier. Saturday, when we got there Saturday morning, by the time we got everything powered up and I was running through doing system checks, making sure everything was connected right. About 9 o'clock, I powered on my laptop, the F1, had the air purifier, the desktop air purifier connected to the F1. I had the lights on the canopy, my little LED lights here and there, charging my little point of sale and all those things. And the Ikier, I think I had like 80 something watt draw just in that current state, like inactive state. But the solar panels were putting in 96 watts, I think it was. So I was actually building a surplus, and it did really good up until there was a tree on top of my booth. It did really good up until about noon. And then when we were in the shadows, my solar output went down to like 12 watts, but my consumption was still right there around 70 to 100, depending on what I was doing. But we managed to run just strictly on the Ikier with the solar panels from 9 o'clock until what was it? It was like 6 hours is what it wound up being. Me and Klein did the math. We wound up getting 6 hours of runtime, and that was with me engraving dog tags and doing all the stuff using the desktop air purifier and everything. So I felt like that was pretty good. If we hadn't been in the shade, like if we'd have been out in a field somewhere to where the solar panels could have stayed in contact with sun, we could have, because we were building a surplus when it was full sun. So we could have made it all the way to dark without actually tapping into the battery, because the battery was actually charging up until noon when the shadow cast down on top of my solar panels. And I was trying to move them around, but you can only move them so far with the cable. And so I couldn't keep them like 100% in the sun. But I felt like that was pretty good for an 1800 watt battery to run what it was running, that laptop, the F2, some lights, and the air purifier when it was engraving. Because the air purifier goes on and off. So I felt like that was pretty good, though. For 6 hours, that was pretty awesome for something that small. I would expect, if I had the bigger model of that thing, there's no telling how long it would have ran. But yeah, it was pretty good. So I was happy with that. I'm gonna do another little short follow-up video on that particular battery because I've had some other people offer me one that were bigger, but that one, to be honest, if you're just going to set up for like 2 or 3 hours and you're just using like a F1, F2 with the desktop air purifier and a laptop, especially if you're indoors, so that you don't have to have a fan or anything. Because I did have my fan, but to make sure that the fan didn't sway my test, I ran my little generator and I ran the fan off of the generator just to keep from pulling the battery down faster. Because a DC or a AC fan like that, it's gonna pull some wattage. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. 6 hours of running all that stuff, and that was engraving. That was it was the consumption was higher when it was running. It was pulling about 100 watts when everything, like when it was engraving, it would peak up to about 100 watt draw. But then once I quit engraving and the air purifier closed down or shut down and everything, then it would go the other way. My consumption was like 20 or 30 watts, and solar panels were pulling in like 90 something. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So if you're thinking about using something like that, I would say in full sun, 4 to 6 hours is doable. I can't promise it'll always happen. It depends on your level of sunlight, but we got 6 hours out of it, and that was with us having a shade tree directly beside us. So that 12 o'clock, my solar panels were in the shadows. So
yeah, so just check out the one that Clack has. But if you're shopping around for them, you want to be careful that you get one that has the right charge controller, because some of them don't like to be used while they're charging. Most of the newer ones that's probably come out in the past year or so have that, but like some of my older ones, they'll do that, but they're in this constant charge recharge cycle where a lot of the newer power units will have an actual controller in there that'll split off. It's got solar incoming, but it's got power coming out. It'll use that direct solar to power the power going out to your consumption devices instead of putting those extra cycles on the batteries. So just some things to keep in mind if you're shopping around for them. You want to make sure you have one that can kind of utilize the power appropriately, not just a lot of them will just any charge input goes straight to the battery, and then the battery cycles it out, and that's just harder on the batteries is all.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know this until I got out to the event the other day. The solar panels themselves have 2 USB ports on them, and it also have a 12-volt output on the panels. Like there's a little box that's made to the back of the panels where the cables are. Where you could charge like 2 USB devices, or like the kind of like the power output for the Atom Stack, the Air Assist. It's like one of those little plugs, like the regular
barrel plug.
Yeah, and so I didn't know it had that. So I was like, well, you could actually, if you were just trying to charge a laptop or whatever, you don't even need the box itself. You could literally just throw the panel out there and do it that way because it has a little box built on there, which I'm assuming has like the regulator and all that built into it, and then it has the 2 USB ports as well as the 12-volt out.
Yeah. I mean, you still got to make sure it's regulated for the device you're plugging it into. The USB ones should be fine, but that 12-volt out, I'd be careful plugging that straight into a laptop.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it has a box on there, which I'm assuming from the looks of it, it's going to be the regulation part of it. But yeah, the USB light, it's got a little green light on there that goes like from red, yellow to green, and it stayed green once you put them in the sun. So that's pretty cool. Tom says it was a great time at the Peach Jam on Friday evening. Yeah, Tom come by Friday. And Friday night was kind of slow, and which I figured it would be, but I didn't want to like be one of the last ones getting set up and like have a hard time getting in my spot. So I went ahead and set up Friday. But yeah, it was a long weekend. Friday night, like I said, wasn't a whole lot of customers out there, but I did get to talk to a lot of people. Did a little bit in sales. I mean, I did enough to pay for my gas money Friday night. But Saturday was a lot better on sales. But with all the donations and stuff like that I did, I didn't really go there with the expectations of having a big windfall or nothing.
Yeah,
but I did pretty good. It's made enough to make me not feel like it was a total waste of my time. The koozies were. Those things are working a lot better than I thought they were. Like I'm impressed with the results I'm getting on those. And the purse, they weren't as a hot seller as I thought they would be, but I did sell one of the purses, and it engraved so nice with that F2. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, like you say, you never know. You got to try things out. And oddly enough, you try to learn year to year. But I've talked to a lot of vendors at a lot of different types of shows, and they all say the same thing. What you learn from one year doesn't always apply to the next, because it can be different weather, different crowd, just something that whatever was great last year doesn't, repeat either at the show next year or, even a similar show somewhere else. So always be kind of innovating and having some options, because you might, dry up that well on the one product.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you
pretty quiet.
Yeah, the heavy stainless steel, the heavy black stainless steel dog tags that I do, the dog tag chains, those and the pet tags, those were still my top sellers. Like, I mean, that was a good majority of it. Bottle openers, actually, this time, last event I did, bottle openers were not really a thing, but this event, they were picking up bottle openers. I sold out of them. Like, I didn't buy any extra bamboo ones because I was like, I hadn't been selling that many of them. And like you said, this event, everybody was going for the bamboo bottle openers. I even made a bunch of oak ones, and I was like, you can get the bamboo for 10 or the nice oak ones for 20. And they were still the bamboo that's what they wanted. Yeah. So I was like, man, I should have ordered some of those. But me and Klein dug through the boxes and found one straggler that was, that we didn't know we had, because I had some pre-made, but then I had some folks that wanted the name of their business put on them. And they were like, we want 2 of them. We found one. I was like, all I got with me is one. You can email me and I can make another one, but that's all I got with me. So
sure.
But yeah, but it's the small things was that was what everybody wanted. Again, which is generally the case. Like I said, I've gotten to where I don't take very many big things with me. I did have several people wanting to buy my flag, and I told them, I'm like, look, this particular one, I'm not going to sell it today, but if you want to order one, get with me and I'll let you know, because, that's that piece of maple that you brought me. So I'm like, I really don't want to sell that one because that's some like Minnesota maple, but I'll make you another one if you want it. So I did give out a bunch of cards for some folks that wanted them for office spaces, man caves, and that kind of stuff. And I have a special request from 3 different people, believe it or not. I've got to find a 3D like dragon swimming file. They want a dragon, but they want it to look like it's swimming through the water or flying through the air or something. So like I got to find that.
Wow.
Like how the alligator is.
Yeah.
One like that, but like with a dragon.
But it's got to be half submerged for that to work.
Yeah, and that's what I told them. But
Hey, you can do like the Loch Ness, like that's little bumps coming out, maybe.
I don't know. That's what they wanted, so we'll see. If I can find a file, I might try to do one and see how it does.
Just fire up that fourth axis there.
Yeah, yeah. So, but that's about it. That's all the. I guess that's the highlight reel. I did shut my booth down. I made an executive decision after the headliner went on, because I did have access to the little tent where they had air conditioning and some food and stuff. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and shut my booth down, and I'm gonna enjoy the last hour or two of the event. And so I did that and went ahead and just put everything in the trailer, locked it up, and went and got me some food and stuff over at the sponsor tent, and just kind of hung out. So this is the first time that I've actually been in the sponsor's tent, because I've always been working it or stayed hustling. But Klein had something else he had to go do, and so we went ahead and just shut down a little bit early so he could get to his other appointment. And like I said, I enjoyed myself at the sponsor tent. So that's about it. So what have you been up to? I know you've got some updates for the next week's little get together. Was you going to share? You want to go ahead and share that now, or?
So rumor is the Clackleys are going to make their invasion of the North, and so this time next week there should be two of us sitting here
somewhere.
So yeah, we'll be doing the live stream from up here in Minnesota in my shop, and then on Monday the 6th, we're doing a meetup, and I do have a link. I need to update some of the information on it. Of course, I don't have the right link here. Oh, hold on. I need to update some of the information on it, because we do have a venue set up, and it is indoors, so you don't have to worry about getting wet or getting sweaty and hot, because it seems like across the entire nation, and it is finally poking its head up this way, we're having this heat wave stuff. So we're going to be at a place called the Wow Zone. We're targeting 4 to 6 p.m. on Monday, the 6th of July. And they're reserving us a couple of they're combining them into one room, so it's a little VIP room, and we will be hanging out for a couple hours and just there to meet you guys. And they do have food, and so the deal is we have to pay so much to reserve and rent the rooms, but any food that's ordered comes off that price. So Clack and I are talking about just setting up some basic snack things, but if everybody that comes can order their own drink, and if you want to get more food, they have a full service restaurant, kind of like your bar type food stuff with pizzas and burgers and other things and wings. That'll help make sure that you get to eat and we don't have to pay as much for the space. But they also have, if you're bringing your family and such, they have an arcade, they have bowling, they have laser tag. I asked, we can't bring our own lasers. But yeah, it should be a kind of a fun hangout spot, and we'll have some door prizes. I've been going through the shop, cleaning some things up. And so there'll be a couple of open frame lasers. I think I got like a 20-watt algo laser that maybe hasn't seen a lot of use lately. Someone else could get some use out of. I've got pretty sure I'll have 1 or 2 Galvo style lasers, possibly a dual source one. And yeah, so there's going to be a number of machines that I need to move out. So we'll be doing some door prizes there. We'll have stickers and maybe some other swag available. Just kind of having fun, hanging out, welcoming David and his family to the North.
This will be the furthest north I've ever been, and I'm pretty sure my wife and I know my kids for sure. So,
and sadly, it's probably going to feel a lot like home right about now, because it's going to be hot and humid. So
it's got to be cooler. It's got to be. There's no way it can be.
I'm not promising it is. We get these heat bubbles, and sometimes like I've talked to my dad at times. It's warmer up here than in Arizona. I know there's been a few times it's been as warm, and the humidity, like just this morning, the humidity moved in. I mean, this morning it was like 90s. And so, sorry,
maybe
if you want
not.
cooler weather, you got to come outside the middle of summer.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it'll get better.
But I'm going to put the link out there in the chat. I do. It's just to sign up an RSVP so we can get kind of head count. So if you are wanting to come by, if you're in the area, if you want to come to the area, just hit up that form so we can get some solid numbers. Plus, if there are any last minute changes I need to send out, I will be emailing people that information as well. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to hanging out with David here in Minnesota, and then also any of you that can come by and enjoy the Mankato area.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I know Brandy and the kids have been looking to see, what all there is to do up there. So we're going to try to find some stuff. We've got a couple. We got a pin in a couple of things that we're thinking about doing, and then of course once we get through up there, the trip back to Alabama is going to be just wherever the wind takes us. We're going to just kind of go and just make it as we go. We're just going to try to find a place that's interesting to us and take our time. Not get any rush. I can't stand going on vacation, having an itinerary or, a schedule. I like to just relax and go.
Yeah. I like having just like a rough, like you say, here's a few highlights we want to hit.
Yeah.
And then let's kind of just make our way those ways and whatnot. I don't like it when it's over like, okay, at 8:05, we're going to be doing this. And then we got to have breakfast. And then now we're going to do this exhibit then. And then, that I'm just like, this isn't vacation. This is
no,
stress.
that is just a structured expense is all that is.
Yeah. So yeah, I put the link down there. And then, if you have any questions, hit me up via email and such. So we'll have fun and we'll wish them all safe travels and have them enjoy southern Minnesota anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So Gerard Cochran says, is Creative Space 2.1 the latest or best to use on the S1? I haven't ran my S1 in a while, and I've been using Xtool Studio pretty much exclusively here lately. So I can't say. I haven't used my S1 since the last big. Well, I did not this past Tumblr job, but the one before that I did with the S1. But I used Creative Xtool Studio then because whenever they released Xtool Studio, I moved over and started using it. So I can't. As far as best to use on the S1, I can't say for sure. Like I said, I did find out that it seems like Creative Space or XCS or whatever is a little less susceptible to like functionality loss if you don't have internet. It seems because like none of my settings would load or nothing with Xtool Studio. So I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't used XCS in a while. I've been on Studio, but I don't know that I'm at the latest version because I was doing some stuff with the P3 and I was like, I don't want to mess with it right now. So let's stay at the version I'm at.
Yeah.
Jake, no, if you've signed up, it's the same form. So if you're already signed up, you're good to go. I'll probably be sending out just a update reminder to everybody with details here in the next day or so. But there may have been one other question that.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through and see if I see anything.
Here, Spark 33 was asking. This is kind of when you were talking about your Peach Jam stuff. I was wondering, when you do an engraving job on a certain item someone brings to you, do you have them sign a waiver in case something happens to one of them? For me, it depends, and usually, if it depends, I might not do the work.
So say if I'm not confident in it, I don't do it.
If it's irreplaceable, I'm generally going to tell them I don't want to do it. If it's an expensive item that could be screwed up, I need to make sure that the job is worth it. So if I have to replace it, at least I break even. Yeah. I've done a couple things, some like custom pool cues and such, but I've done enough of those that I was fairly confident. But I just told the person, like, I can't guarantee. I don't know what the finish is on this. I can't guarantee like a certain tone or anything. We can try it. If it, works great. If it doesn't, it might just etch through the finish a little bit and not leave a mark. I've given them kind of a verbal waiver, but I usually let them make the call on it at that point, but that's usually when they're in my shop and doing it. If it's to the point where I need them to sign something to waive liability, I'm probably just going to waive off the job.
Yeah, that's what I had. I had a guy text me Saturday morning, messaged me, and said, "Hey, are you going to be at Peach Jam?" And he's a local guy. And I was like, "Yes, I'm planning on being there." He said, "Can you engrave Bibles?" I'm like, "Some. It depends. It depends on what it is. Some of them I can, some of them I can't." And he's like, "Well, we're coming to Peach Jam. I'm going to bring it with me, and I want you to look at it and see if it's something you can do." And so he comes to the booth Saturday with this Bible, and it is a really nice looking one. And I'm like, okay, first question, what's the value of this Bible? Because it's, first of all, it's a Bible, so I don't want to tear it up. And secondly, what's the value of it? And he's like, "Oh, I think it's $135 is what it cost me." And I'm like, "Ooh." And it turns out it was buffalo hide, some kind of black buffalo hide. So it's like legit organic material. It's not laserable PU. It's legit organic material. And so I inspect it, and I mean, it looked consistent with what he was saying it was. And I told him, I said, "Look, I work on a policy called risk versus reward, and the risk to do this is not worth what you're going to want to pay me to do it. So I don't feel comfortable doing it without a way of testing the material to ensure that I'm going to give you, acceptable settings or results." And he's like, "Okay, well, I appreciate it." And he's like, "Well, who do you think could do it?" And I was like, "Go to the Bible store, because we have a Bible store in town." I was like, "And you can go to, wherever, and just call around and find out." I was like, "But, maybe somebody that sells books, a bookstore somewhere." And so he did. And he brought it to me Friday night. That's what it was. And then Saturday he came back and he said, "Look, I left here yesterday, and this morning I've been all over Prattville and Montgomery to every Bible and bookstore around. I've been to everybody that says they do laser engraving. Nobody will touch this thing." He's like, "Will you please put my name on it and just do the best that you can? I don't care what it looks like." Blah, blah. And then and like I said, I know this guy. And he's like, I just want something on it. He's like, because there was no way of knowing what was the front and the back. He's like, at this point, if it messes it up, we'll put a sticker over it. He's like, I can't find anybody. And so I'm like, "Dude, I really don't want to." He's like, "I know you don't want to." He said, "But I'm telling you, I'm at the point I don't care, because at this point, I'm just fixing to put my name on it." And so I told him, I said, "Well, look, the machine I've got out here," because I had the F2. I'm like, "I'm not comfortable doing that thin leather on a Bible with a hot laser like that." I said, "But if you'll let me take it home with me tonight," which was last night, I said, "I'll take it to the shop and I'll try my UV on it." I was like, "Because that's the only way I'm touching this, is if I do it with a UV laser. That's the only way I'm touching it." And he said, "Done deal." He said, "Take it with you and see what you can do." Well, I managed to pull it off. Now, I will say it's got very low contrast, and I'm not crazy about it, because if the light hits it just right, it kind of blends in, like you can't see it, because it's just, I couldn't get it to contrast. I did 2 passes with the settings that I decided to go with. The first pass I did, you could see it, but it had like 0 contrast. And so I'm like, if I run it one more time and try to get below the dye, maybe I can get a little bit of brown to come out. And so I did, and I was able to get a little bit of brown to come out. But after that second pass, and I looked at it and it looked like that, I'm like, okay, I'm not touching that no more. I am done. So I took it off of the laser, sent him a picture of it, and he's like, "Man, that is awesome. That's exactly what I wanted." And I'm like, "Well, it's not what I would like to see, because I wanted to see it like with gold inlay or like some high contrast." I was like, "To me, it doesn't look good." He's like, "Dude, that is exactly what I wanted." He said, I just wanted my name on it." He's like, "I'm good." So he comes by today to pick it up. And I didn't want to charge him an arm and a leg, because like I said, I felt like it wasn't a good job. But I told him, I was like, "Just give me $15," because literally it took me like 2 seconds with the Ultra. And he's coming to pick it up. I'm not having to chase him down. So I'm like, "Just give me $15." And he wound up giving me 20. He's like, "Here, keep the change. You did a great job. I appreciate you doing it, blah, blah, blah." So I don't normally do stuff like that. Like I said, I turned it away. I turned the job away. But when the guy come back basically begging,
Yeah.
Please, please. Because I told him, I said, dude, if it was a $30 Bible, and I knew where to get them, I'd be more willing to do it, because if I messed it up, I could replace it, or I could get one for testing or whatever. But it was 130 something bucks. I was like, I'm not in the Bible making business. Maybe that would be it. Obviously, there's a market for that in my area because nobody else can do it. So maybe that's something I need to look into. But when he finally told me, he's like, I don't care. We'll put a sticker over it if we have to. Just try it for me. I'm like, okay, and it worked. And I was so thankful when I run it that second pass, because my whole heart was just kind of like, oh, please don't mess it up. Please don't mess it up. And I saw it and I'm like, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. And I was going to try to put some like gold paint in the bottom of it. And I was like, nope, quit. Leave it alone. Leave well enough alone. Just move along.
Yeah.
And then when he showed up, he's like, that's exactly what I wanted. I was like, okay, good deal.
Cool.
So if you ever get asked about one, it does not contrast well. And I tried I thought on it for a few minutes before I put it under that laser. And I ran basically leather, PU leather settings on it for black PU leather, which I knew would be way underpowered for organic leather. But I was like, I'll just tickle it until I get a little bit of contrast and I'll quit. And that's what I did. It only took 2 passes. So.
Cool.
Chris said, I can't unsee it now. Bible with the Clack Shack sticker on it. No, I was gonna break out the Eufy and make him a sticker with like a white background and some gold text or something to put on there, or black.
Yeah, but
gold text.
But if it's a semi-flexible cover,
yeah, that was the problem.
It's probably going to pop off eventually. So Seth Rosenberg's asking, you work with many different laser manufacturers. Which one would you consider the gold standard when talking about CO2 lasers? Well, if you're talking about the gold standard of CO2 lasers, at least here in the US, you're probably looking something at Epilog. And if you're looking at Epilog, you got some money.
Yeah, you better have some good money or some good credit.
We've got some for a couple programs at the college I work for, and they are very nice machines, and they come with excellent support, but you pay out the nose for it. Basically, if you have to ask them about the price before really talking to them about anything, they're just be like, "This isn't the laser for you."
Oh, they told me. He told me, if you can't afford $40,000 for a laser, you don't really run a laser business. And I'm like, God almighty, okay.
Yeah.
The sales guy told me that. And I was buying it. I wasn't buying it for me. I was shopping for my buddy Tim, because he had an Epilog. It was an older one. It tore up. He couldn't get it fixed. Epilog wouldn't come and work on it because it was so old. They're like, hey, we can discontinue servicing that one. And so I was calling them just to get a quote for him, because he told me, hey, help me figure out what I need to get. And of course, after they told me that, I called Thunder and ordered a bolt. And that's what he's got now, is the Thunderbolt. But yeah, that guy told me, because he said something about $42,000 something. I'm like, oh my goodness. And when I said that, he's like, well, if you can't pay $42,000, you ain't really in the laser business. But yeah.
Yep. They're proud of what they make.
Yeah. Well, I can honestly say I doubt you'll ever see an Epilog sitting anywhere around me after that little comment.
Yeah. Another question kind of related to some of that stuff. If you were selling knives on Etsy, would you get liability insurance? I mean, you should, if you're really seriously in business, it doesn't take even a sharp edge device to require liability insurance. Because you'd be surprised what people will do with things that you create that you don't intend them to do. And they will say, well, you never told me I couldn't.
You didn't tell me it wasn't edible.
So if you're creating any physical items and such, you may want to talk with someone about liability insurance. But yeah, if you're selling knives, you definitely want to probably talk with a lawyer about, maybe some legal disclaimers to include in there and what might be some good coverage. Because unfortunately in this day and age, people are happy to hire lawyers to go after you. So it's worth your time to maybe spend a little bit of money to try to put a few firewalls and barriers in place that can cause a little bit of limitation to that liability. But I'm not a financial expert. I'm not an insurance expert. Definitely talk with, someone more about your specific stuff. But yeah, if you're seriously consistently doing it, if you're doing some craft hobby stuff here and there, you're probably flying under the radar and you're probably not doing enough volume. But it's kind of like cybersecurity. It's not an if, it's a when. At work, I'm just planning for at some point having a security incident. If you're in business and selling enough items, eventually you're going to have some sort of situation. So it's good to think about that now instead of when you absolutely need it.
Yeah, and somebody brought up a valid point too, that if you form an LLC, that does give you a little bit of a barrier when it comes to that kind of thing. It's not the answer to all your problems, but it will help.
It'll help insulate. And if you got to do it right, though. I mean, you got to form the LLC. You got to keep your money separate. You got to keep your books separate. All that. You got to do it right to protect your personal assets, but they can still destroy your business.
Oh yeah.
Take anything related to your business if they, if it's warranted. So.
All right. So Seth says, okay, so Thunder's a decent brand when you run a business with some decent volume. I like the Thunder machines. If I were in a position to buy one, and I've looked at getting one, Thunder would probably be the route that I would go, because I think Thunder is one of their companies, and there's a few companies that kind of do, but as far as what I do and the type of machines that I would like to have, Thunder to me seems to be that balance of user serviceable, affordability, performance, and dependability. They seem to be like a balance. I'm not saying they're the most dependable. I'm not saying they're the most serviceable. They probably don't have the best warranty, but when it comes to like overall balance on most all categories, they seem to be a good contender for most of us. You've got others like Eon and some of the more, like Eon has their Red Line series or whatever that are really higher end also. But some of the Eon stuff gets almost up into that epilogue level of machine. You got Trotec is another one that's Trotec, that they're kind of pricey as well. So
I have some experience with a friend who has Trotec, and he says it's a great laser, but if he was to do it again, he wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm just saying, as far as like price wise, though, they try to put themselves up.
And they have proprietary software, and you have to use it.
Yeah,
many of them up in that range do. So
yeah, so I mean, there's some other machines out there right now. I think the general consensus, and like I said, I have ran a Thunder. My buddy Tim's got a Thunder. I've used it. It does a great job. It's the bolt, so it's a small work area. It's an RF tube. So my experience with running a Thunder machine is limited. But like I said, I do kind of see lots of videos and talk to lots of people throughout this that have machines. And Thunder seems to be a good, like, small business. I wouldn't say high output necessarily. Like if you're like really, really high output, maybe, you can run them like 8 hours a day. But like what I'm saying is if you're in like a 10,000 square foot warehouse, you might be getting something bigger.
Well,
something faster.
I know a number of places. I would say Thunder is a good economical, higher output. Yeah, like you say, if you're employing tens of people,
yeah,
and more, you never know. I mean, I've seen some places that they have just rows of Thunders. I know some friends of mine that have, they're full-time makers. They're pushing quite a bit of product out, and they've had very good success with their Thunders, and they've had very good support with them, even to the point when now Thunder doesn't necessarily 100% replace them, but when they've had problems that they were like, I was dumb, and I made this mistake and it really damaged my laser, they've said, hey, we'll work with you on that. So they're definitely a little more mindful of their customers. Like you say, they might not be going to hand deliver it with white gloves and help you set it up, but they're fairly responsive. They've got a team that are kind of looking out for their customers a little bit more than some of these others.
Yeah, because the problem, like with and there's nothing against, like I've got an X-Tool P2 sitting here right now. It's not a bad machine, but if you're really trying to get some stuff done, like them tumblers that I did the other day, the tumblers took 30 minutes on this X-Tool P2. They come out nice. They look good. I mean, I can sell them all day long. There's not a problem with being able to sell them, but it took 30 minutes. I could have done that same tumbler on that bolt that my buddy Tim's got, and it probably wouldn't have took set up and everything, maybe like 7 minutes, because that thing is fast. It's so fast that when you try to record it with your camera, it looks like the rotor on a helicopter. Like it looks like it's not even moving almost. So there's a difference, but it's a different, they're playing to a different audience. Another thing with the P2 is if the P2 tears up, you have to almost disassemble the machine to replace parts. Whereas like some of the more commercial machines, the bigger machines, even the Thunder, you can open a panel and like, there's your controller. There's your air assist pump. There's the, you ain't got to like remove the whole back of the machine just to change out a hose off of air assist. So there are advantages to those machines, but the Thunder takes up substantially more room. It does have a higher price tag, which is not too much higher now than the new P2S. But there are differences. So you have to figure out what is your situation financially, space requirement wise, and whether or not you want to work on it yourself or send it back for repair or whatever. And then you have to make a decision which one fits your scenario. But I think if all these machines disappeared today and I needed to go get a CO2 machine, I'd get a Thunder if it was today. Now, OhmTech's got some nice looking machines that I would really like to get some experience with, but it's a relatively new model line that they've came out with, and I'm just not sure. You know what I mean? But OhmTech's probably my second pick currently. But now there's a couple of companies that's been reaching out to me lately that we'll see. But right now, Thunder is definitely on my radar if I had to buy a CO2 machine for myself. Like with my money, had to go to, go online and order it. That's probably where you'd see me shopping. So
now, speaking of CO2 lasers, I have one sitting over my shoulder here. It's back on the bench. I did receive the F80 air pump for it. So the Ikier Master is a benchtop kind of all-in-one unit. Like you say, if something breaks on there, you're probably going to have to go to them to get the replacement parts outside of maybe some mirrors or lenses. But they did have on the back, they have a 24-volt out power port and one of those quick connect air connectors, which allows you to basically bypass the internal air pump and let it run off of the external air pump, which nearly doubles your airflow. And so just got that in recently, and I did run a test. Now, I don't know that this is going to show up too well on here, but it does improve the cut quality slightly as far as numbers. As you can see up here, I'm getting through just a little bit more, but what hopefully you can notice is down in the cut areas, not so much up here where it didn't cut through, but down here where it did cut through, it's just a little bit cleaner. And so that's what having, more control over your air can help it give a little bit cleaner cuts and such. So that's one of the nice things that they've done on this. Hopefully they're listening to people. I know it's one thing we've complained about a lot of these benchtop units. So that's nice to see. I've just started testing that. And I'm supposed to have the riser base sometime this coming week. So hopefully I'll be able to get that assembled, and then I can take a look at their rotary for doing tumblers to see how it will do with that as well, because I know a lot of people have been asking about that. Little bonus, and unfortunately I won't be able to test that necessarily in time for you, but Ikier has offered up for this week an extra kind of special coupon for this one. So if you're looking at the Ikier Master, they have it on sale right now. I think their normal price is like $23.99. I think they have it marked down to $21.99. But if you go ahead and use the code in the next 7 days, Live Master, that will let you choose either the F80 air pump, which is $100 add-on, or you can pick a like 76 piece material pack. So if you've been looking at this one, if you've been serious about it, but you haven't pulled the trigger on it, you want to save a little bit of money, you can use that code LiveMaster when checking out, and then you got to email them and tell you your choice. So all that stuff is in the description of my video here, both on YouTube and Facebook. And I'll try to make a post maybe in the laser engraving group as well as a reminder. But it's kind of nice for them to kick an extra coupon out for that. Now, if you don't want the air pump and you just want the CO2 laser, if you use my original code Vintari Master, I think is what it is, then it's $300 off the retail price. So then you'd get it, you'd save $50 over this other deal, but you wouldn't get the air pump. So anyway, there'll be more content coming out on that one. It's been a nice kind of compact benchtop CO2 laser. And now I'll be able to kind of finish the testing of that thing that everybody wants to know is what's the kind of most affordable CO2 laser that does tumblers. This one works with a chuck rotary natively. It works in Lightburn, and I'm hoping it works with tumblers in Lightburn. So if I can figure that out for you, I'll try to I'll try to at least get maybe a sneak preview of the rotary on a tumbler as soon as I can, because I know some people have been asking about that. So not necessarily the gold standard, but more of like budget, needing something to do some acrylic and hopefully a decent machine to do tumblers as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I know I don't know that they use the same technology, but I know the Atom Stack, the Hurricane, which is similar to that machine. I know it uses the newer version of their R series rotary. So I'm kind of curious if that one's going to be, if it's going to be as good as far as working in Lightburn and everything or not. So,
yeah, I think it's what the R8 is the new one. Is that
yeah,
what it is?
It's more of a low profile one. And
yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that as opposed to the ones that we used to use that I love so much. But yeah, but it does have choke capability.
Cool.
That is cool. But so far, it looks like the results you're getting. I do like the air assist upgrade. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the nice thing too is it's got the knob, so you can dial it down for engraving, or like if you're doing acrylic, that's another area where you want airflow, but you can really kind of dial in to get that nice kind of flame polished look. And if you just have on and off with the air, you're kind of stuck with what it is. So for something that, we both you and I have done the air assist upgrades with the variable, and
it does require some engineering skills and a little electrical skills.
Yeah. You got to tear into the machine, you got to add a relay, and then you're playing with the air volume on the the dial with the separator and the regulator and such. So this is a little bit cleaner setup, and so we'll be doing some testing with it, putting it some projects and such, and we'll hopefully have some positive news on it to share. So
yeah. Perman's asking, what brand of filaments do you guys like to use, PLA and PETG thus far? I haven't used a whole lot of filaments because I kind of subscribe to the old, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I've been using mostly Bamboo Labs filaments, but I do, if Bamboo's backed up, doesn't have it in stock or whatever, I've been running a good bit of Overture off of Amazon, and I've had really good luck with the Overture just running generic PETG settings in the slicer. I've had really good luck with it. So that's the limit of my experience. I mean, I'm not against trying other filaments, but it's just, I'm not printing like toys per se. And so I like the fact that the filament that I've got, it's held up, it's rugged, it does a good job, and I'm just sticking with it for now.
I've tried a number of filaments over the years. Most recently, I've been going through some Bamboo stuff, but I've bought a lot of Polymaker for some of like the chunkables that you've seen me printing and such, as far as PLA. For PETG and PLA, there's another company, they're kind of more out of the US, called Voxel. Their stuff is pretty decent. I did have to do some tweaking to the print profiles for those. Overture's been fine for me. Some of the Elegoo PLA has been fine for me. The local place that I've been starting to buy more from They've got like King Rune has worked pretty well. And I haven't tried this, but maybe you've got a Michael's store near you. They are starting to stock PLA in some of their stores and online. And the nice thing is they often have coupons that are anywhere from 30 to 50% off. And these things are part of their make brand. And so far, that's been eligible for it. So not endorsing it in any way, but might be something to try if you've got nothing else. But I am lucky with that 3D print store here in town. They've got a wide selection of colors and types. And so I try to go visit them because when you need a spool, and you want those businesses to stay around. So I try to go visit them and pick it up there first because their prices are pretty close to what I would pay normally. Their PLA's right around $16, $17 a roll. I know you can get it cheaper if you find the deals online, but again, when I need that roll today, they're there. And if I don't support them, they're not going to be there. So,
yeah. The closest thing I found here is the Hobby Lobby that's down where we go to Prattville. They do have 3D printing filaments, but last time we went down there, all they had was PLA of a few limited colors. That was it. And so most of the stuff I do now, I've went almost explicitly PETG unless it's just something for inside the shop and I've got a roll, of filament that I want to use up or whatever. I'll swap and use up some PLA. But like for my Bigfoots and stuff like that and all of my functional parts, I've started using PETG. That way I don't have to worry about if I leave it in the trailer or if I put it in my truck or whatever. I don't have to worry about it, melting. Like I built this. This was my version 1 of my little mountain plate for the F2 the other day that somebody extruded it wrong and extruded the outside line or the inside line instead of the outside line. And so it was like 3 millimeters too small all the way around. So this was just like, oh, well, everything else worked great. But I have also, since I got the X2D now, I've started using the PETG PLA support material for my interface. And man, I am loving this stuff. You talking about some clean supports. Like they pop off and they're that smooth when you pop them off. It is awesome. So when I print my Bigfoot now, and it's just the interface layer. Like there's like this little layer right here is this material. And the support part is just like slick. So it just puts down a layer of this, which it sticks, but it doesn't stick too much. So when you print your part where normally you have like the real rough area where the supports connect, with this, it's slick. So I've started doing that on my X2D because I'm now when I print my Bigfoots, I print the main part on the X2D so I can use the support filament, and then the part that doesn't require supports, I print on the P2S. That way, when I hit print, I'm printing the whole Bigfoot set, like between the two machines.
I'm just slumming over here with my P1S. So,
well, maybe you should, get you something else. I thought you had like 2 or 3 other machines. So, I'm sorry.
Well, the Anycubic Cobra S1, the wife has claimed that, and she's been keeping that busy. She's run a couple of spools through it, just printing Gridfinity stuff for organizing her camera gear. So it's getting used, but it's claimed by her for that stuff. So, and I do still have the Flashforge 85X. I use it a lot of times just for some random TPU prints. I should do more with it. They've got their Creator 5 out with their multi-head unit. And that's interesting. Although I saw they had a little bit of an issue with some of their purging and fan intake. I saw that on Ryan's show last night. So, but it sounds like they're adjusting that in the firmware, but we'll see. Maybe this fall might be more of my fall into winter, might be more of my, do more with 3D printer stuff.
See that's where the support's attached right there. Look how clean. Look at that. Look how clean that is. I love it when it comes to the parts that, like something like this, because it's got that overhang right there that, that whole piece has to be supported. But when you pull it off the printer, like it just literally, you can just like pull it and it just comes like straight loose. And that's the edges that you get. So the only thing that I have to do is I take my little, my burr tool. I'll just take that little burr tool and just do a little bit of a like circle around the holes just to make sure that there's no sharp edges on the corners. And it's good to go. The only problem I've had with the X2D is I did have, and I got a video I'm going to do on it, I did have a little bit of like scaling, little roughness in the corners from that the fan on the chamber heater. The fan was blowing directly on the part, and I was getting like some really like rough calluses and skin on the top layer here. But I printed out a little diffuser like redirect for the fan and put it in there, and it fixed the problem. Matter of fact, I got some I can show you on what happened. Because these are, matter of fact, this is actually, because I'm OCD, this is actually works. This file works. I used it. But if you look right there in that corner, you can see where the fan was blowing on it as it was printing. It's got that scaly, like almost burnt look. Yeah. So I called that one. And then this one got really bad. Like this one was terrible. And I went ahead and stopped it. But it was where the fan was blowing on the material. Because like all these little lines you see, if you followed them back, they went straight to the fan. And you can see right there, it was rough. But I put the little cover on there and no more problem.
Seth comments, one of the reasons for going to the Texas event is to identify my next machine. Figure there will be many manufacturers there. Yeah, the Next Level Maker Conference is coming up here end of August. And they've got quite the vendor exhibitor lineup there. A lot of manufacturers of a variety of machines, not just lasers, but like Eufimake will be there with their UV printer as well as many others. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to connect with manufacturers of equipment. There's going to be like MakerFlow and TrueFlat and others. I believe are going to be there as far as supplies that you might use in the shop. So it's a little bit of an investment, both in the event and the travel, but they do have the option for same day or 1 day tickets, or even just vendor show tickets, which are free. You still got to, worry about the travel and such, but we'll be there basically the whole event, there to kind of hang out, maybe check out some of the classes, but definitely talk with people, talk with vendors, talk with manufacturers, and just enjoy it. So if you can, look up the Next Level Maker event, check it out, and we both of us plan on being there.
Yeah, well, everything goes the way it's supposed to, hopefully. Santa's asking how the Fury worked. Yeah, we went over that pretty in depth if you want to go back and watch the replay, Santa, but I managed to get where I was at was in the shade at about noon, but it worked from 3 until I wound up getting like 6 hours of me running my booth off of it, minus the fan. I had the fan separate power. But we got 6 hours out of it, and when I unplugged it, I didn't want to pull the battery down too low. It was at like 18%, and I went ahead and plugged it up and charged it because I didn't want to completely deplete the battery. So I went from 100% down to 18 in like 6 hours, but it was doing really good until sun got overhead because we were under a tree, and the solar panels were only putting out like 5 to 10 watts in the shade. They would put out 90 to 95 in full sun, but once the sun got overhead, the solar panels just they weren't contributing. So we just kind of pulled the battery down after that, but it worked good. I mean, I was shocked it worked as well as it did.
Corey Stevens is asking or commenting and asking, I went and bought the Reno 45 Pro Vision and love it, but I'm having a problem. Why can't I do 90 degree as an up down rather than, I'm guessing, just the side to side? The way the gantries are made, their acceleration and their speed is faster going the lengthwise. And there's just more to move in the other direction. So I'm not sure that you can't. I guess I haven't tested that, but generally it's going to be slower, and you may have additional issues with that. It's one of the pitfalls of some machines.
Yeah, I don't think I ever tried changing the angle on it, but I mean, worst case, just rotate the material unless you're needing to do, like one layer at one direction and one layer at the other. You could just rotate the material. But yeah, the X axis is always going to be your fast axis on a gantry machine, from my experience. Unless it's Core XY machines, then it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they'll sling it around.
But yeah, that might be something to shoot to Monport. Ask them if that's like locked out for some reason. But I can't imagine it would, because it's usually just Lightburn. If you're using Lightburn, giving it commands of where to move and how much to step over and how fast to go. So
yeah, I wouldn't think it. And like I said, unless it's blocked in a controller, now it may be the speed may be regulated down. Maybe it has a maximum speed for the Y-axis movement, and the speed that was assigned to that layer was in excess of that, and that could cause maybe a conflict in the.
Yeah, usually it's a little slower in that direction, so you might want to check your machine settings. It'll read from the controller what it's set at, and that might loop you in as well.
Yeah, like I said, if
45 is fine, but 90 is a no-go. So.
Hey, I think it may be try different speeds. Lower the speed and see if that makes a difference. Because your axis on most machines, you're going to have a maximum. You have a maximum speed in the controller settings for your X and a maximum speed controller setting for your Y. And if you're setting it to where, like, let's say your max speed's like 200 and you're setting that layer for 250, then it may not be wanting to do it. But if you're running at a 45, maybe it's at that threshold where it can, because math's not my strong suit. But if you're doing a 45-degree angle, you're it's like half on your X and half on your Y. So maybe that's it. I don't know. Never tried that, I don't guess. But most machines are going to be separate like that.
Unfortunately, I've moved that laser on to someone else, so I can't even test it on mine.
Well, I've got mine, but I don't have it connected right now. I've been trying to get it out of here because I got stuff coming in, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, definitely something to check.
The X speeds might be just a little slower. What else we got?
Grim Reefer says, I just got the F2 Ultra. Very nervous to start up a business. That is probably wise. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I see so many people that they're out on Facebook groups and forums complaining about how maybe part of their laser hasn't come, and they're mad at the company because now they're missing out on this order they took. And I'm like, how did you take an order before you've learned and confirmed what your machine do and you're comfortable with it? So definitely spend the time, get to know your machine, figure out what you can do with it, so that when you are ready to put some product out there or take custom work, you're comfortable with what you can offer, and the time and the materials and the headache involved, so that you can price it right. Jumping in, taking orders before you really have any idea or any comfort with the machine is just a first step towards failure in my mind. So it's good to be nervous, but don't let it hinder you from maybe getting there eventually.
Yeah, you definitely want to go into it with some confidence and knowledge of the machine, because learning is one thing, learning under pressure is another.
I mean, some people learn best under pressure, but
well, yeah,
not necessarily recommended.
Yeah, generally speaking, I think the majority of people don't. So, Tranquil Mentor said, "I've been seeing that sticky blue build plate. Is that better for Pet G, or should I stick with the PEI plate?" My word on the sticky plates is it depends, but I don't know about the blue one. Those are a different brand. I do use sticky plates from my Bamboo Lab with my Pet G. And I use it, especially if it's a print that, like, say it has low surface area in contact with the build plate, then that's where that kind of comes into benefit, because it's going to grip the material more than, say, a PEI plate. there's less chance of it popping loose or your supports coming loose with it. But you have to be careful too, because some parts, if they're too delicate, like if it's got a big foot and then a little delicate piece sticking up, you can break them trying to pull them loose from that plate. So you have to actually use a scraper to knock them loose, rather than just grabbing the top of the part and peeling it, because you can. And I have broken a couple of things because it has so much adherence to the build plate that you snap it halfway up before the supports come loose. So I have the sticky plates that I use for some of my builds to limit having to do a raft or anything like that. And I also like the smooth surface of them, but not every part needs to be printed on sticky plate. Now, when I printed like this little guy, I printed on sticky plate because that's all the surface contact I had, and it's a tall, slender item. And so printing it on sticky plate, to me was just the easiest way to do it, because it's got a slot in the top of it. So I wanted to print it like this. And so I popped it in there, and it stayed. It didn't fall over or anything like that. So it's, if you're having problems with them popping loose, the sticky plates will fix it. But just be careful, because sometimes it can be a little too much sticky. The ones that I have are the bamboo ones.
Yeah, I find that unless I have a really worn out plate, just a good cleaning, and by that I mean Dawn dish soap, hot water, not alcohol. Alcohol can sometimes make it worse and leave a film, but a good cleaning on the PEI plate, especially if you've run PLA before it, you definitely want to clean that off. That seems to resolve most of my adhering issues with normal PETG prints.
Yeah, I had the guy that bought my A1 the other day keeps having problems with prints, and I told him, I was like, "There's two things. One is your filament dry, because if you got wet filament, you're going to have adhesion issues. I'm sorry, but I've learned that, if nothing else. And number two, especially like you said with PLA like leaves. It's like eating popcorn. Like it leaves it leaves grease or butter or whatever on your build plate, and if you use alcohol, it tends to just smear it around and spread it out. It doesn't clean it. You need to use degreaser. I've actually used on my PEI plates, I don't know if it hurts them, it doesn't seem to, but I've used some of the LA Awesome just to keep from having to go in the house and get dishwashing liquid. I'll just spray some LA Awesome on it and wipe it down, and it seems to be doing a good job. And so far, my plates are fine. But yeah, like this is the sticky plates that I use, and they're like, I feel like they're rubber. The one benefit that I do like is that's the print surface, the bottom of it, the contact surface right there, and you can see it's smooth. So if you're wanting a smooth surface, that's another plus to using these, as opposed to even the engineering plates that I was using on my A1. The engineering plates would leave like lines and stuff sometimes on the printed part. These don't leave the lines. Like with the glue on the engineering plate, sometimes you could still see like scratches and lines and stuff like that on the print. So I like that smooth, clean texture, and this is the top side right here on that print. So yeah, you could actually see the outline where I've been printing these on the sheet.
Ryan over at Ballard Design says it looks like you got some sun at the Peach Jam.
A lot of it.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with his orange shirt, the orange lights. None of that.
No, I got some sun though. Seriously. Let me see. Let me show you. Look at that right there. Look at that redneck, baby. Look at that redneck.
Victor Benitez is saying, I noticed everyone is moving away from Rolly MKs. Any recommendations as a company that won't go out of business? Well, you never know. Companies, strong companies, if they don't change, will fold. Look at BlackBerry, Yeah. But I guess if you're looking at the diode market, you want to look at some companies that have had some longevity, and that's going to probably give some indication that they're going to stick around. So X-Tool, Atom Stack, Creality have been in it a while. Laser Pecker's been in it a while. I know the one that I really like, and I hope they stick around, is Alien Cell. I was just using their X1 today. I was making more of these, and I got to finish up this video, but I've been making these spice racks for various different things, using some True Flat. It has worked well for that, and they have announced they're coming out with some new stuff this year, so that's another good sign that they're hopefully a healthy company. But Rolly Lasermatic was looking good, and through various reasons that were said or unsaid, they're no longer in business. So, but yeah, as far as a diode laser, I'm really happy with the X1. I hope they stay in business, but they haven't been around as long as some of those others. So, and you just never know. A couple bad, actually early on, X Tool they had trouble getting traction with their machines.
X Tool stumbled for a little while there.
Yeah, they kind of stumbled out of the block, but Atom Stack has gone through some combinations and combines and splits and such, but they seem to be holding on and bringing out new equipment and such. So I would say I mean, none of these, and I say this knowing that they're expensive, but these inexpensive diode lasers, the companies, they're not even necessarily loyal to their product line in some cases. They can discontinue a product with minimal notice. I mean, we've seen X-Tool do that. And so trying to make sure you maintain service and support is still a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of just a roll the dice and see. So, that's where, making sure you're connected with groups like this and looking at some of the things you can do on your own, learning as much as your own. I mean, when hardware fails, it's proprietary. There's not much you can do about it, but yeah. And going back to like the CO2 market, that's where some of these lasers, the Rita, the big cabinet style, there's not a lot that's customary in there that can't be replaced by other parts. Mirrors, lenses, gantries, things like that. That's one of the nice things about going with those lasers is that even if the company was to stop supporting them, if it's based on an architecture that's fairly common, you can generally get kind of third-party parts for it. So, but yeah, as far as looking at some of those, I'd look at some of the companies that they've been around a while and they continue to produce equipment and machines.
Yeah, like right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like you said, the Alien Cell and I still like the X-Tool S1. I think it's next on the hit list of X-Tool to be replaced. So I don't know if I wasn't already an S1 owner, I don't know that I would get into one right now, because I just, looking at the timeline, I feel like the S1's kind of on borrowed time because they haven't added any accessories for it or anything lately.
Yeah, so it's been out like what, 2 years now?
I think it's longer than that. I think. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, you'd have to see when because
I got mine. Mine was like almost like a beta unit. Matter of fact, I think it was a beta unit. So I got mine before they had released them. Let me go back and look and see when I first got it. October 11th of 2023 is when I published my next generation.
Coming up on 3 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I would, it's a good machine. If you find one on Marketplace or if you got one, it's a great machine. But I kind of feel like the way X-Tool does their rotation, they did away with the D1. They did away with the M1. Like, it's the S1's next in line if they continue through that series. I don't know that they are. This is not like insider information. I'm just speculating. But I will say the Alien Cell and now the LX2, the Laser Pecker LX2, I like the way they've got it set up. Laser Pecker's been around for a while. Now, they haven't been into the gantry machines for very long. But I feel like as far as a company goes, maybe they're pretty stable. And like you said, there's a bunch of other Atom Stack. Atom Stack has been around since I started doing this. I started looking at Atom Stack machines, and they've made some really good machines. Atom Stack's had a couple of machines that I felt like were a little early, but that's not unusual for any company to release a machine when there's still some things needing to be polished. So I don't hold that against them per se. Uh-oh. Kevin Jensen said, I printed your mini router table, but had to change it over from Bauer trim router. Worked good. Thanks. Cool. Was it the same? I'm assuming you had to change the bolt pattern. I'm assuming is what you're saying. Is you change the bolts, or maybe the Bauer's the same bolt pattern as the DeWalt. Is it? I don't know. I thought it was more like the Makita.
I don't think I have a corded DeWalt trim router anymore. I'd have to look. I used to run them on my CNC machines, but
yeah, the corded and the cordless on the DeWalt, the screw pattern's the same on the two that I have. So,
Jerry Richmond's asking, how often, perhaps in terms of runtime hours, do you guys clean and relube your Bamboo 3D printers?
Oh,
well, cleaning it depends. I try to knock the dust off it, and fairly often. Like if I'm cleaning the build plate, I'll just try to get any of especially in the P1S, like things get under the lifting platform. So I'll try to clean that out. But as far as lubricating rails and such, I'll admit I'm kind of lazy. The machine tells me, it's like, hey, dummy, I'm probably about time to do this.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to say. About the third time the machine tells me to do it, it's usually when I do it.
So I guess it's hard to say because sometimes, I'm running them pretty heavy for a week and sometimes I don't. So I guess I'd have to take a closer look at how many runtime hours that is. I haven't really noticed per se. I just, like I say, when the machine says, hey, I'm kind of dirty, can I have a bath now? I do it. So
yeah, that's what I do. Cause I'll be honest with you, other than just looking at it for videos to see how many hours I've ran a machine, I don't really pay attention to that. Kind of like in my truck, I got the little sticker up there that tells you when to get the oil change, but typically it's the little reminder that pops up on the dash is what gets me to go get, set that appointment up. So yeah.
Yeah. Tony's asking, Steve, when you were out flying the other day, did you shoot any video? So if you're following me on Facebook, I've been posting a little more extracurricular stuff out there, just things I'm doing. So yeah, about a week ago, I did clock out a little early from here and headed out to the field. One of my friends and club mates said he was heading out there. I said, you know what? I haven't gone flying yet this year, so I should probably check on my stuff. And but I didn't grab the camera. As a matter of fact, I have. This is I've got one of the little Insta360 Go. It's not a 360 camera for this. It's more of just an action camera, but this actually will clip onto my hat, and that would have been an easy way to do that. But I forgot to grab it. So definitely going to try to do that one of these days, just to kind of share a little bit more. But what I'll probably do is we have a big warbird fly-in here the second weekend in August. And so I'll probably be out there and I'll grab some video and I'll put it on my second channel of kind of what that entails. Because we get well over 100 pilots from all over the US, and some of these airplanes have pushed the value of an Epilogue laser. I'll just say that they are ungodly expensive and detailed and huge. So it's cool, but I don't get to that kind of level of model airplane stuff anymore. But yeah, if you want to catch that, eventually I'll have some stuff over on my second channel, and I've got that linked down on any of my YouTube videos. It's Vintari Outdoors. It's been a little quiet because I haven't been able to get out and do stuff, but yeah, as inspiration and time hits, you'll see some fun stuff out there.
Yeah. Rob says, Clack, the blue tumbler again. You're killing me. Well, Rob, I'm trying to make sure it holds up, so I have to use it because I can't tell you guys, yeah, I did a sticker and put it on a tumbler and it's held up good if I don't ever use it. It'll hold up really good sitting in the cabinet. So I've been using it a lot. And other than the one part where when I first put it on there, I scratched it off on my thumbnail before I got it put on there real good. The rest of it's holding pretty well. I honestly think that first cycle through the dishwasher may have helped cure it on there a little better or something. I don't know. Because I've been running this in the dishwasher with the heat clean and everything, and it's keeping its color and everything. So
that was the sticker application, not the print direct to it.
Yeah, this is a pill and stick. Yeah.
Okay.
So So yeah, and what reason it is, and you may recognize this tumbler, but me and you got this tumbler gave to us at an event, and it had a logo on it, and I covered up the logo. Phantom lasers.
Oh, I didn't actually get one of those.
Oh, well, I did.
So, I think I was talking to him too much and then walked off.
Yeah, there's a Phantom laser logo under there. My bad, Phantom. I'm sorry, but I needed a test tumbler, and this one was there. So, yeah.
Jack says he got the Crowd Grip Glacier plate on his U1. It is good, sometimes a bit too good. I've heard putting them in the freezer helps to get the stuck part off. Yeah, letting them cool down, and if you're in a hurry, flash freezing it will help. Things shrink and de-shrink in heat and cold cycles, especially metal. So that can kind of help release the grab when it just has that little expansion and contraction.
Are you saying keep a can of air handy?
Well, I don't recommend that method because you can hurt yourself with that. But there have been some people who have, used the upside down can of air method.
How about a little touch of liquid nitrogen? Just keep it handy.
Or, just pop it in the freezer for a couple minutes. Doesn't take a whole lot. Even just running some really cold water on it if you can. But yeah, the temperature difference can help. But yeah, sometimes those grip plates they're a little too grippy.
Yeah, I've got two of them, and so I'll just pull one out, lay it on the CNC or lay it on the table over here or something, and then let it get down to room temperature, and then it makes it a little easier.
So Directed Tech says he has got a maintenance video on their YouTube channel for the A1, P1S, and H2D, and has the recommended periodicity. So if you're looking for how often you should be cleaning one of those printers, go check out their channel.
Yeah.
Oh,
let's see what we got.
And Brian reports, I can tell you, Grandpa has been using his clack on a cup every day, and the Eufy image shows nowhere. So that's one I did print direct. Now it was on a kind of white textured tumbler. But yeah, I did kind of have that disclaimer when I said, I'm like, I haven't tested these for, longevity, and good to hear that it's still holding up.
Yeah.
There's one for you. Old Vet Creations saying, I'm in the market for a UV laser. Please tell me that I'm not making a mistake buying the X-Tool F2 Ultra UV laser.
I mean, what's your idea of a mistake? Are you looking for something to work on? If you are, you're making a mistake because you're not going to have to work on it. I like mine. I'm going to be honest with you. I've got an Omni 1 5-watt, and I also have an Omni X 10-watt UV. And if you look behind me, you'll notice that the 10-watt Omni X is still sitting over there. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's just because I recently got it back going because me and Steve had problems with our 10-watt Omnis. But like today when the Bible job was here, I didn't go to that. I went over there to my X-Tool UV. So I have no complaints with the machine. If I really wanted to pick it apart, as far as like from what I know about X-Tool and from X-Tool stuff, the only real like thing I could complain about, I guess, is maybe they could have made it to where the bottom plate on it, you could actually like maybe take a couple of screws out and pull the plate off and be able to engrave through the bottom. That's really all I got, because I do like that feature with the F1 and the F2, so that if you wanted to engrave a logo on the corner of a table, or like let's say you had a glass table and you wanted to engrave something on the glass table, if you could pop that bottom plate out, then you could literally just set the machine on there and go down. So that's really the only thing that I would say you could probably do better on. I mean, other than that, it does a good job. Yeah, not a whole lot of bad things to say about it.
I like what Chris says here. The only mistake with X-Tool is having to pay the X-Toll, and
yeah,
it's not the cheapest option out there for any of the lines, but they do try to make it fairly easy to be successful with most of their machines. Doesn't make them necessarily the best performer in speed or in price, but they generally put, I like to say, like, you know, the bumpers on the bowling alley, you're good. You might not get a strike, but you're going to get some pins down. You know,
they
you're not going to completely gutter
definitely kind of hold your hand a little bit in the software and make it a little easier. Like, especially like if you're wanting to do the inner engraving, X-Tool's little setup, the way that they do their little pedestal and everything, it's pretty easy to follow. And it's like you click the button to do it, and it's like, okay, take this piece, put it here, put this screw here. I mean, they walk you through the process. So from that perspective, they've kind of got it going on pretty well. Now, I will say, I do have this. It's dusty right now because I've been making stove covers today, but I do have this machine now. I don't know if I'm getting the UV module for it or not, but this is the Creality Falcon T1. Currently, it is rocking the 20-watt fiber module, and I will say I was a little like me and Steve saw it kind of at CES, but it was like the beta machine. It wasn't the like production run machine. And I was a little like, because it looked a little fidgety. You remember CES? It looked a little fidgety when they were trying to show us how to change the module out.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's hard to say because it was a busy environment. There were a lot of people asking questions. You know, I'm sure. I mean, I've been in that situation. You're trying to answer questions. You're trying to demo things, and sometimes you fumble it. So it wasn't necessarily a calm, controlled environment for it.
Yeah. So I was a little concerned about that when the machine first arrived, but I can tell you, and I'm glad to say, there's a button on the side of this machine that you push in and you hold it for 7 seconds, and it'll make a tone. And when it does, the top of the chassis will rise up and to go all the way to the top to where it's supposed to go. And when it gets there, you'll hear a click. And when you do, the module is released. You pull that module out, put the lens cap on it because it's like literally like a brick with a lens coming out the end of it. And then you take the other one, slide it in there, take the lens caps off, slide it in there, press down on it just a little bit until you hear a click, which is the lock re-engaging, and then you go back to work. So it's nowhere near as clunky as it looked like at CES. Like it's a lot smoother. They either that beta machine needed some work, or like you said, she was just fumbling with it a little bit. But it's really like it's not bad. Like I was kind of shocked. It's got dust all over it from me sanding. I'm sorry. It's nasty. Now I do have one complaint so far with this machine. I got the limo tent model. Like you're not going to watch the machine work from out here. Like you just not. So this is like some 15% window tint right there because there's lights on in here, but when you shut this, you can't see it. So yeah, but yeah, that's the cool thing about this one that I will say too, and I kind of got spoilt with it, is when you open the lid and close the lid, it will auto focus, like it'll automatically like take the picture and all the things. See, like it just went into like change my module mode just now. Like, so that it's just really easy. But yeah, it's got this little controller right here. Does a little self check. Like, it's pretty neat so far. I'm gonna get the video out as soon as I can, but I've got to I got to get a little more time with it. The controller magnets to the side of it. But yeah, like I said, right now, all I've got is the 20-watt fiber module. I don't have the UV. I was kind of hoping it was going to send me the UV module with it. They sent me some crystals, so I don't know if maybe I'm getting the module. I just haven't gotten it yet. I don't know. But it's a pretty cool machine. No wonder it went all the way up. I left my lens cover on. That's why it went all the way to the top. And I did customize myself a lens cover also. But yeah, so that one's going to be coming, but that's going to probably be post Minnesota trip because I got to get the A1C out first. Not my diabetes settings, or whatever, but the A1C. reality.
Speaking of the A1C, if you want a sneak preview, I did post my video on that today. They're marketing it as a very beginner video or beginner laser. It's kind of a self-contained 6-inch cubed-ish gantry laser. So you get your they've got about 4 options. The basic series, they're calling just their regular ones, are white. They have a 5 and a 10 watt blue diode option. And then they have their what do they call it? AI camera versions. They're the gray ones. Basically, the difference is it has a camera or not. But then they have the 5 and the 10 watt diode. And then they have a 1.2 watt IR module you can swap out fairly easily. It's kind of like swapping out any gantry style laser. It's got the cable and then a thumb screw. But it's about 13 inches cubed in size and about 20 pounds. So it's like I say, it's geared towards beginners, but it's also if you got a small shop or if you wanted kind of the budget version of an on-site engraver to take with you. They start at like $199 right now, and the most expensive one I think is $369 for the 10 watt with the AI camera or whatnot. So it's not expensive. So anyway, but yeah, Creality, when they were talking with us about some of the lasers, they'd both of us got versions of the Falcon A1. I got the Pro, you got the regular. And then they sent out this other one as well to test out. So if you got some time, hit up that video, give it a like, check it out. I do kind of mix between review and also kind of helping people that are beginning with it kind of understand what they're getting into and what to expect and how to get started. So that's what my video is about out there. So if you don't mind, give the video a little bit of a watch and a little love so people notice it and see it. Are you muted?
I might have been.
Like quiet as I've heard him in a while.
So this is just a piece of that scratch paper stuff. You know what I'm talking about? It's like black spray painted white paper or whatever. But yeah, you can go in here and you can see that it's got autofocus and all the cool things. It's got the camera, so it takes a picture. And the cool thing, like I said, is if you open the door and close it, it automatically sets the camera. So I can go in here and like you got the 0.25 millimeter laser photo paper is the setting, and just put it on fill right here. And all I got to do is hit the go processing. It's going to show you kind of what it's going to do, and then you hit start. And I've got the lid turned off because as far as like whether you open it or not, because in order to get B-roll, you got to turn that off. So that's why I'm getting that. And then it's gonna do the job. You this cool little animation that looks like a water level filling up or whatever right here. And then that's that. You get some fireworks and confetti, whatever. So the camera, I haven't done a lot of calibration with it, but it's pretty darn accurate. Like you saw, I just hit the camera button. So watch what happens when I move this little flower now. Like that's pretty slick. So as far as what I've seen so far, it is definitely a cool machine. Like I said, I've got the 20 watt module. It has the options of a 20 watt, 40 watt diode, a 20 watt fiber, a 5 watt UV, or a 60 watt MOPA. And it's the same chassis. It's just a different box, basically. So you just hold the button. This raises up. And I'm going to show you in the video. I don't want to do it right now because it's dusty in here today. And the module like pops out of a hole up here on the top, on the back of the machine. So it's pretty impressive so far. I ain't gonna lie. It may have a permanent home because I do like the versatility of it. The only negative would be if you're one of those people that wants to use the blue laser and the IR at the same, like on the same job. This is going to be a little bit of a buzzkill because you got to swap the module. You can't just set the different layer. like you can with some machines. So that would be the only like big negative that I would say. If you want a single purpose machine that could be several different single purposes, then like I said, the only thing that really changes is the module. But you can't go, okay, I want this one to be blue laser. Okay, now I'm going to do IR. Oh, let me switch back to blue. That's not something you need to be doing, in my opinion. So
Seth's asking, speaking of water, do either of you have a working sink in your shop? I guess it depends on what you classify as a working sink. If you want running water and plumbing, then no. If you want something that can hold water and drain it on the floor, sure. But no. When I built this, it was supposed to be a garage with a few workbenches. And oddly enough, I mean, I had looked at maybe even running a gas line, but city code here is sometimes weird. And when you start adding too many utilities to an outbuilding on a residential property, they start looking at you funny.
Start thinking you might having a second house or something.
Well, or more of something more commercial. And so between that and basically being broke just building this, I was kind of fast-tracked, forced into it because of some weird road construction, reconstruction issues. I know I just have electrical out here and network. I don't have any gas or water ran out here. Be nice, but I don't.
Yeah. Good evening there, Cody. How are you, sir? I saw where Cody also posted down here. He'd love to have a fiber in his life. He'd love to have a fiber laser in his life. Hey, Cody, come on over here to Alabama. I can hook you up.
We'll see how this August goes. I am kind of looking at my vacation time balance and what's going on with things at the college. When I head down to the Maker Conference in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that week, and I know Cody's going to be out in Atlanta, but I may start driving west from there. And because my dad lives about a little over an hour north of Cody. So I may go visit my dad and have to swing by Cody's shop. And if I'm driving, there's always a possibility that a machine or two come with me. So
yeah. Chris, what software do you use to prep pics for internal graving? I'm testing, Chris. Most of the time I'm using X-Tool software if I'm using an X-Tool machine, ComMarker software if I'm using the ComMarker machine. I don't typically try to do the images inside. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be the point cloud type stuff. The images is, well, first of all, I've tried to get into like a market up here of selling those things, and it's not working out for me. So I'm not going to invest a whole lot of my time and attention to it if I can't sell them. I mean, it's cool, it's neat, it's nice, but I think I've got $400 or $500 worth of crystals over there, and I made a few and showed them off and took them places, and it's just like crickets. So I've got them, and then of course Creality sent me a couple with the kit that they sent me, which I think's odd if they're not planning on sending me the UV module, that they'd send me a separate box with crystals in it, but who knows? Yeah. So maybe my UV module got lost in the shipment, because I do think this chassis would do well with a UV module. Like there's markings on the bed that tells you like where to put the crystal and the coefficient number for the software and all that. I mean, it's set up for it. I just need the module that slides in there.
Speaking of software, I missed this one earlier, but Kevin was asking, do either of you use Carveco Maker, having issue with profile cuts and having a notch where the bit starts? I use smooth ramp in, perhaps a different setting. I've just barely touched Carveco Maker. I really should play around with it a little bit more, but it's a couple of reasons. I mean, some of it's, what is it? Old dog, new tricks.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Just looking at thinking of it just from a tool path, not necessarily software particular. Just looking at that from like a tool path perspective. Make sure your plunge speed's not too high. Because if it's only doing it when you first start, if that bit's plunging too fast, you could be getting some deflection on the impact. Like when the Z axis goes down, it could be causing the Z axis to tip it just a little bit.
The other thing that you can do on any software is you can actually have lead in and lead out lines outside your profile of your object. If you aren't able to get the software to give you an absolutely clean start and stop point, you can add just like a little hook as a lead in and then a hook as a lead out for it to give you a better area for it to stop. But yeah, I would check your plunge speed, make sure that's not too fast, because and maybe see if you can stretch out that ramp in. I usually go at minimum twice the diameter of the bit, but even sometimes on smaller bits, I'll go a little bit longer.
Yeah, see,
to make sure it's nice and smooth.
I'm more conservative as you are, because like on a 1/4 inch bit, like I'll ramp that thing out there. I'll be stretching it on out to like 15, 20 millimeters, ramp in. Now it kind of sucks if it's a small hole because it's like it has the corkscrew to get there, but yeah, that's the only things I can think of, because I don't think that doesn't sound like a Carveco problem. That sounds more like a tool pathing issue. Because I'm kind of curious what machine it is, but it don't matter if you plunge too fast. No matter what machine you got, you're going to have a little bit of deflection, unless it's like a freaking 20,000-pound press or something.
Paul says, I thought the video was great. It really set people's expectations well for what a newbie should be able to do. I assume you're talking about my A1C video. And yeah, I was trying to, I try to do that with most of my videos, is set expectations for what any machine can do. Because the marketing language, sometimes they're okay, but sometimes they really push it with, how fast a machine can go or how thick a material can cut. But since this one is geared at beginners, I really wanted to try to, set, here's some things you should really be worried about. Here's some things you should learn. And here's what you can expect it to do. So I'm glad that came across that way.
Honda Freak 45 says, y'all do this every Sunday, even though I don't watch the full episode every week. What is something y'all disagree on?
Chicken livers.
Yeah, that's definitely that, and that soapfish stuff.
Hey, I don't even like that. You like chicken livers.
I do like chicken livers.
Lutefisk? No, forget about it. I'm not going to touch the stuff.
But we do vary sometimes. Like our approach, and that's what a lot of people want to. Our approach a lot of times is slightly different. Like Steve comes at things sometimes more of a like he's really into the like small finite details sometimes, whereas I'm more into does it work and how do I make it work. I really don't care how I don't care how it works as much as I care does it work. You know what I mean? So we approach things differently. On some things as far as like general performance of machines and being able to do certain things, realistic expectations, not trying to oversell a laser. If you have to mention buying a machine more than once or twice in your video, you're probably leaning a little more into sales than you are like instruction or education. Or if you
have to remind people that, I'm not trying to be an influencer here.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. If I'm on here talking about a product, yeah, I'm in some way probably influencing you. I'm trying to influence you to be knowledgeable about it. And at the end, I hope you do use my link if you want to buy the thing. So people that are kind of so negative about them, maybe they need to take a look at being not so salesy. But
yeah, I try not to overdo it. But like I said, the videos that we do make those videos, and this is the one thing that me and Steve have always agreed on, and we've even had to like kind of like have each other's back with companies before, because sometimes companies get a little pushy, and they want to try to push you in a direction that you don't want to go. And so we've had a few times that we've kind of stood together and was like, no, we're not going to do this. And, and I will say most of the time we prevail. Like it ends up, they come back and they're like, hey, sorry, we're going to change the way we're doing that because, we agree with you. We'd like for you to take the machine. And once they, compromise to our guidelines, then we'll work with them. But we're not going to compromise the integrity of our channels, of our brand. Because see, here's the thing, a company that pops up somewhere overseas and start selling machines, they could care less about the reputation of the Clack Shack. All they want to do is sell machines. So if I put all my eggs in their basket and they decide to go out of business or they do something stupid and make a bad name for themselves, if I'm overly invested in that company, I might as well be part of the company. You know what I mean? And so me and Steve both are our own business. We cooperate with other companies. We help them with, if they say, hey, we're coming out with this machine, we want you to pick it apart and tell us what we did wrong. I am great at that because I will. I'll run it through the paces and I'll tell you exactly what's wrong with it. But don't ask me a question if you don't want the answer, because I'm going to tell you when something's not good. Not everybody does that, and not every company wants that. There's companies that do not want me and Steve having their machines because if they have an issue, they know we're not going to like cover it up and pretend it never happened. Now, on the same note, I'm a Ford guy, okay? Ford's made some crappy vehicles. They've had some engines that had problems, okay? I don't judge a company necessarily by one product. It's kind of like, what did you do when you realized that product was bad? It's okay to make a bad product and then realize it was a bad product, but have a recall, fix it, come out with a solution to the problem or something. So those are the kind of things that me and Steve look for in companies, are not necessarily the perfect company, but companies that are trying to do the right thing and don't get too pushy and try to make us do things we're not comfortable with. And that's kind of where we do agree, but we disagree on a lot of things, like as far as our angles and our approaches. We come from two different walks of lives. Like, it's just, we do differ, but we talk to each other about these machines, and like, I trust his opinion and I think he trusts mine to an extent. So we come up with really good, in my opinion, we do a really thorough approach and look at things from several different perspectives. And I think that's what helps us make better decisions.
Yeah. And some of that is, like you say, our difference in approach. You are approaching it as much more of a small business. Like, here's how you are successful with small business. And what's worked for you, things you do there. I've kind of pulled back on that a little bit. Just, my primary job has to have my focus, and a lot of things around that over the past few years have been ramping up. And so I still do stuff as a small business, but I've kind of pulled back from a lot of like the retail shows and such. But I come from a family of educators. My grandmother and my mom are both, school teachers, public school teachers and such. I work in, a technical college, community technical college for the past 25, 26 years. I like to see people learn, find their comfort zone and be able to master something and move forward with it. So, I think that's where we kind of have that similar but different approach to things with it.
Yeah. That's like I tell people all the time. They're like, like because a lot of people ask me like, hey, you and Brandy, y'all are so much alike. How did y'all make it? That has to be why y'all, I'm like, we are not alike, first of all. But yeah, it takes, in my opinion, like I said, Steve, sometimes I need a little bit of the things that Steve puts in his videos. Sometimes I need a little more of that in mine, and vice versa, I think, at times. Not always, but at times. But we have our own style. We have our own way of looking at things, and we have our own approach to problem solving and that kind of thing. But it is really good when I get a machine in and I'm like, this machine's driving me nuts. And I text Steve and he's like, dude, this thing's driving me crazy. I'm like, okay, it's not just me. Okay. It's not just my machine. It's not just a fluke, because we've had machines before that we've had in that neither one of us could get to work. And we've seen videos of other people talking about how great it was. And I'm like, what's the chances that me and you got the only two crappy machines out of this whole batch? Because me and him both couldn't get ours to do what it's supposed to do, but everybody else was like, this thing's awesome. And I'm like, did we get the only two bad machines in the bunch?
It could happen.
Yeah, it could happen. But, we try to keep it like legit and real. If I don't make any money off of sales commission, so be it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to sell you a piece of crap. You go back and go, Clack, you said buy this and I bought it and it's been a problem. Now, with that said, I can't guarantee that every machine that you purchase is going to work like it's supposed to. You may buy it, it may like blow up the next day. It happens. But I can tell you my experience, what I experienced with the machine. That's all I got.
Just trying to feel if there needs to be a legal disclaimer on that whole explosion scenario. You just
I don't mean like explode. I mean it can blow up, like it can blow up, like it can burn up. It can quit working. I don't mean like detonate and like small mushroom cloud or nothing. I mean like
ticking time bombs.
Yeah. Jack Bradley said chicken liver is only good for catching catfish. No, they'll catch me too. You fry them up, put them on a hook, you'll get me.
Chicken livers catch catfish.
They do.
Clack likes chicken livers. Therefore, Clack is a catfish.
I mean, I may be.
I mean, that's the logic's there.
I mean, I may be. I may just not know it. Brent said, did you go up and watch Tracy Bird last night? I saw your trailer was shut up when I tried to catch us and sneak peek at the concert. Yes, I did, Brent. I shut it down about, I guess it was about 8 because Klein had to go. He had another appointment he had to go to. And so I went ahead and boxed up at 8 and decided to go down and catch a little bit of the concert and speak to some people. So, But Brent was up there selling some hats. I don't know how I haven't talked to him since the event was over. I'm assuming you done okay, Brent. There were several people doing hat patches at this event. I think in the past, Brent's gotten lucky in Chilton County and had like a monopoly on it. He had competition, like he had visible, like he could see them from where he was at competition this year. So,
speaking of, I was doing some testing today.
Yeah, look at you.
I got to do another run. So,
yep. Chris said the most powerful influencers are the people that try not to be influencers. I don't know if that sounds like a chicken and an egg type scenario, but but no, like I said, I understand that my opinion does have a certain bearing on some people, not all people. I'm not, I ain't like that, but I understand certain people do have put extra merit in what I say at times, and I'm proud of that. The last thing I want to do is do something to damage that. You know what I mean? I don't. It's like my old man told me when I was growing up, and he was not necessarily the most ideal parent ever, but he did have some moments at times. But he always told me, there's one thing in this world nobody can ever take from you. It's one of those things that you have to give up, and that's your reputation. Like, people can't take it away from you. You can give it up. You can sacrifice it. You can damage it. You can destroy it, but nobody can take it. Whether they might say that you poor or ugly or can't talk or whatever, but as far as your reputation and your integrity, it's yours to keep. So, and that's one thing that, 25 years of doing what I've did, that's always been like paramount to me, is to make sure that if I tell you something, whether you like it or not, it's true. So,
I mean, being poor is just relative to other people, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, people can take your house, they can take your car, they can take a lot of things, but that's the one thing that people can't take. But and it's another thing too, that it's easier to get rid of than it is to get. I mean, because you damage your own reputation, you damage the integrity or the way people in the community look at you. It sometimes it's hard to recover from.
Yeah.
So I try to, especially with the business, because I work for nobody here. Like, that's one thing I like about it, is I make the decisions. And so I have to be careful not to, do anything that I don't approve of. I had an agreement, because I do agreements with companies sometimes, because some of them basically just want you to sign a piece of paper saying they'll send you this and you're going to do them one video within 90 days. I'm okay. If you want me to write that down in an agreement, I'm good with it. I understand not everybody trusts everybody. But one of the first things that I do when people ask me about reviewing a machine is I send them the link to my review policy, which is basically says the things that I'm not going to do. And I'm like, if you're okay with these guidelines, then sure, we can discuss it further. So,
yep.
It is 8:59, guys. So if you got questions, get them out there. We haven't had that many questions tonight. So, Well, I'll say we haven't. We've had a lot of comments. Rob Wilson said catfish are orange. They can be. They're sitting on that bed fanning them eggs. A lot of times, you know, their bellies have turned red, orange.
Cody says I look ripped in my thumbnail.
What?
and all that.
You been playing with AI again?
No, actually, when I have,
he done went and got him one. He done got him in muscle suits.
No, I've used AI to do some things, but I always say, do not change the person in the photo. You know, because you and I've talked about that. Is there so many that people like?
Yeah, brand recognition only works when people recognize you.
Yeah, and so I've had to do so. Like I'll let AI go wild on some things, and I'm like, well, that's not me. Yeah. First off, way too big of a smile, but yeah, no. Thanks, Cody. I've actually have been
going flex,
being mindful of my calorie intake and been trying to be more active, and yeah, actually I'm down about 15 pounds from earlier in the year, so trying to extend the warranty on my knees and back and all that.
Well, my weight is trending lower for the past 11 weeks. So
it's all that water you sweat off.
Now I have been doing that a lot. I didn't weigh this morning because I was like, I don't want to have a false sense of winning, because I knew I was dehydrated still, so I didn't even weigh this morning. But yeah, they're asking whose hat you're rocking today.
This is a local hat, so it says Cato, Minnesota. It's got a bison on there. We actually do have there's a bison herd at the Minneopa State Park. I did put a short video out of part of that park where they've got some falls and such, but I need to do more of a full like outdoor channel, like maybe a camp over there, and they've got a bison herd that's been growing, and it's on a really big acreage there. It's pretty cool to see. But this was something I think my wife got me as a present from one of the local places that makes some local apparel. So Cato is just short for Mankato, and Minnesota, obviously, from Minnesota. But
Kevin said, I make every decision as long as Brandy's good with it. I mean, sometimes I do ask, not always.
It's got to clear it with the CFO, right?
Chris said, catfish orange or giant goldfish. You won't let me click the comment for some reason.
Oh, did you break it?
I guess I broke it.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, well. But yeah. Oh, crap.
I think we clicked on the same one. Owasu is asking, what are you guys think about all the people with the UV makes having so many printing issues? I think there's a lot of user error. So yeah, I mean, with UV printing, and you're talking about the UV make UV1, that's kind of the primary one that's out there right now. There are a lot of things that can get messed up on that. There are a lot of people that don't realize that how flat the material needs to be. And so the way it measures its height is through lasers. And the minute it sees the two lasers kind of cross. So if there's anything in that plane that's sticking up higher, it's going to measure that as the top. And these things only have about a 3 millimeter resolution to where they start getting out of focus. And so I've seen some of those errors where they've got issues where it's kind of just overspray look. They can get the inverse where it gets measured, but all of a sudden it's dragging because there's maybe a part that they had hanging outside the focus area, but it clips the head. And there's also the whole bit of, you got to realize that these UV printers are very, very cool technology and very cool stuff you can do. But if you don't keep them fairly active, you're just asking for more problems, either in heavy usage of repriming and possibly a slightly dried out or clogged head, or the ink tube. There's a lot that can get messed up with these, and those print heads are there's a lot going on there. And that print head itself, and these are inexpensive ones on the Eufy make, they're $600 to replace unless you've bought into some of their warranty and their replacement stuff. So it's a mixture of maybe user error or of just like not using it right or not using it enough. You do run into more problems when you're more of an occasional user on it. So.
All right, Greg Wilson's asking who is taller, Steve, Klein, or Clack?
Definitely not Clack.
It is definitely not me. I'll give him that. All right, Klein is pretty tall. Now I could break Klein in half because he's not a very thick guy. He's tall. He's like all vertical, no horizontal. But I still don't really consider myself to be short. But I think Klein agreed because we had this conversation when everybody started saying that maybe I was short after seeing the picture from the Peach Jam the other day. But that's not. It's short is a matter of perspective, I guess I could say. I don't know that I would call myself short.
It's starting to sound like one of those influencers calling themselves not an influencer. You're having to say it too much,
no,
man.
I mean, seriously. Like here's a picture. This is me with an entire, almost like most of the police force, okay? And that is me in the middle at my retirement. And as you can see, I mean, I'm not short, okay? Not short.
We don't know the height of any of those other people.
Well, I mean, I can tell you the guy on the far right is probably close to being as tall as you are. Like, he's pretty good. He's pretty tall. He's 6'4", 6'5".
He looks like he's kind of slouching, too. Kind of
he may be. He may be. But now he's about 6'4", 6'5". So, I mean, I'm not saying that I am compared to Steve and compared to Klein. I don't know that I would refer to myself as being taller than they are. I'm not. But I am not short either. So if you put me in a room full of Koreans, I'd be the tallest guy in the room. I promise you that. When we went to CES, there was an entire tour bus, and I was like a giant among children. You remember
when we went to CES?
You remember
he pointed out about 3 people. He's like, "Oh, did you see that one?" I'm like, "Yeah." Out of 140,000 people, you found like 3 that were taller than me.
That one dude made you look like a kid. That guy was massive. He should have been like in the NFL, NBA, like UFC, something, because that dude was massive. But yeah. But we got on one of the, remember we got over there like the first week, we were standing in line, and this is kind of funny. I'm not making fun of anybody particular. This is just a, these people were not very tall, but we're standing in a line waiting to get on a what you call it? Dang it. One of the trolleys or whatever, the buses that takes you to CES. And we're standing in this line, and I guarantee you guys, we had some pictures. I bet there's 400 people in this line from the motel to where the buses are picking everybody up. And me and Steve can look forward over the top of those 400 people and see the bus because we're taller than everybody. But it was because apparently we timed it to where most everybody there were like Asian. And so there were not a lot of tall people amongst them. So, but yeah, but there was a couple of times though. And what was the guy from Carbide 3D? Like, y'all two put me in the middle, and I look like a kid. Because to see where y'all were. Where's the picture of what's his name? EBP man. Let me find that picture again. He is never gonna eat with us again, ever.
Well, he did this last year.
Milton. Yes, he did. He did come back last year, so I don't guess he's too mad about us sharing this picture. Hang on, I'm gonna show you guys. Let's see, that was 2024, right?
I don't know. I can show you a picture of me standing next to Cody.
Cody's not very tall. I'm not going to call him short, but Cody's not very tall.
Now, I may be slightly in front of him, throwing off the perspective there. And yes, this is just shortly before I made him deathly ill with, some plague brought back from CES.
Yeah, I mean, you tried to kill Cody.
I didn't blame him. It would have been considered, what is it? It's manslaughter if it's unintentional, right?
Yeah, but you tried to kill him. You
I
like
didn't try
poisoned him
to.
with
It was like
you were like patient zero on an airplane over
that's
there.
like collateral damage.
Where is this picture? I know I'm at the right year, I think. Because this is the year we were here. Okay, so this got to be in here somewhere. Let me find it. Where's the picture of Milton and them? This is the year that you tried to make me look short. Oh, here it is. I found it. Hang on. All right. So if y'all know Milton, his channel is EBP Man Reviews or EBP Tech Reviews or whatever. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this picture. Don't go picking on him or nothing. But yeah. So there you have it. That's pretty comparative with me and Steve as far as height goes. Now I'm a little heavier in this picture than I am now.
All right.
But
Well, let's show the one of you standing next to me.
I'm like
see there over
like
on the right
towards the statue.
Yep, you see there's Clack's head there. He's like standing in front of me.
Oh my gosh. Let's see, we had another picture with somebody else too. Was it Kim and Garrett we took a picture with? They looked close to normal size.
Here's pretty even.
Yeah. I mean, that's somewhat realistic. I look like a Smurf in that picture, but other than that,
Exhibit C.
No, man, I look like I need to I don't know. Whew. Greg says Clack is not short. See, some of these folks have met. We're gonna have to take some more pictures up there in Minnesota. Cody's met me. Cody knows I'm not short. Cody thinks I'm tall.
Do I need to bring up the photo again?
Oh, mercy. Clack with the Statue of Liberty, more like cropped. Yeah. Yeah. I got Cody a little bit, but yeah. I'm not as tall as Steve. Steve is what, about 4 inches taller than me? What are you, like 6'5"? So he's about 4 inches taller than me. Now he's not as good looking as I am, but he is taller.
All right, one more. This is the closest that he's been to my height.
Whatever. Tim says he's met me. I'm not short. I'm 6 foot, and he must be that or taller, because Tim saying he's 6 foot, and I must be that or taller. See, I mean, I'm not short. I mean,
sounds short to me.
Shaquille O'Neal would probably consider me to be short, but generally speaking, I'm of above average. I think I am. I think was it 5'8", 5'9" is the average right now, I believe. Oh, you trying to show some sawmilling pictures?
Like video work, you can see. I'm a really good supervisor.
I think so, but you see who's doing all the heavy lifting, though, right? I mean,
yeah. Anyway, don't worry. You'll always be short to me.
Scott said I'm the fat old guy in the beard in the picture. Yeah, I think that picture was Scott, wasn't it? That one that you showed with me and you and the guy. I think that was Scott. Now that I think about it, because that was from CES.
The first year, I don't know that we didn't get a chance to meet up the second year, because I think he was there both years, right? But
no, we didn't. No, because we were going to go hang out with what's his name, 3D HP too, but he had something come up. All right, well, guys, it has been 2 hours and 14 minutes now. So, last call for questions. And I am actually down. I checked the other day because I had a nicotine issue for a long time, and when I quit, I gained a bunch of weight, and I had them surgeries, and like I got all messed up. My weight got all messed up, and so I got up to like 200, and I think I was like 240, 240, maybe even I may have touched 245. But I checked my app the other day, and as of right now, I weigh less than I have in 2 years, and I'm trying to keep pushing that down a little bit more. So I got to get about 10 more pounds of this right above my belt. I'm good everywhere, but right above my belt. Like the rest of me, I'm good. So me and Steve both have been trying to encourage each other to do better. And so he's been doing some biking. And I've been doing lots more walking and less eating.
Biking and hiking and watching what we're eating. Yep.
So yeah. Santa said he quit tobacco a while ago and the weight went up. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I mean, it was like you flipped a switch. I started gaining weight.
So yeah. Anyway, next week, Clack should be here. So we're looking forward to that. Hoping him some safe travels. Everyone in the U.S. or those who want to help us celebrate this coming 4th of July as well, 250th birthday of the United States. So I hope everybody enjoys that if you celebrate, and that you have a good time, that you stay safe. But yeah, we're looking forward to a good week for everyone. And if you are in the area, Monday the 6th, 4 to 6 p.m., Wow Zone, we are going to do a meetup up here in Mankato, Minnesota. And so there's the link again. I will put more information out there as far as the details of it. And then I will also try to follow up with some posts on Facebook and YouTube and such. We'll be getting together. We'll have some snacks that's at a place where you can order some food, and that'll help us lower the cost of the rental of the room. And I will be giving away some machines and such. We'll have some stickers and maybe some swag pieces and such. So looking forward to seeing as many of you that can make your way to the southern Minnesota area on that. I know it's maybe a little bit hard on a Monday afternoon, but just trying to work it into the Clack's family vacation schedule. And so that's the day that worked.
Yeah, my wife still has a job that she has to be at, and my daughter has things with school that's fixing to be getting kicked off with the band and everything. And so we kind of had to fit it in where we could. So, I mean, some of you may, the Monday may not be ideal. Hopefully, a lot of you guys either have flexibility because we're doing it in the afternoon. Maybe if you do have places to be or whatever, maybe you can, rearrange your schedule and come hang out with us for a little bit. Like I said, Steve is going to be bringing some prizes or having some prizes available. I don't know if he's planning on bringing them there or having them picked up later, or I don't know how that's going to work for sure, but
I think we'll be able to get them into the van, and we might not bring them into the event, but people will be able to collect them there, just so it's, if you make it there, you can do that. But we'll try to figure out a little timeline of that. I know not necessarily everybody can hang out the whole time, but yeah, we'll make some fun of it. I'll get some shop cleanups done. People can hopefully go home with some machines, and we'll take some photos and just kind of enjoy the late afternoon.
Yeah. So there we go. But yeah, so that's the plan. Kevin said that's what vacation days and sick days are for. Well, yeah, but when you've only been in the job for a little while, you don't get a whole bunch of them, Kevin. And so we're gonna make do with what we got. Luckily, I don't have to take any vacation. I've already got my off time approved through the shack. It's been approved. I'm gonna get paid leave as well. May even get a raise for taking off. Who knows? But that's about it. That's all I got.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for checking it out. Be sure to smash all those buttons that are appropriate. Appreciate everybody checking out the videos and the posts on socials. All that interaction does help us out as well, and helps us build content. Like I say, the questions here and on our videos and such help us find ideas for content. So if you want to hear more about it, learn more about it, it's great to be involved. But we're going to get back at it. I got to clean up things around here a little bit, at least anything that's about, maybe this high and under, make sure that it's ready for Clack. And
I'm going to put stickers in places you can't get to, big boy.
Hey, I looked under one of these benches and I'm like, oh, I really need to move that one and sweep there too. But anyway, we'll see you all soon. in the video, if not live from Minnesota next week.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. See you.